charge, subject to compensatory and punitive damages. Could be lots and lots of money. Not to mention, think of the fallout here at the firm. You see, we're not just good litigators, we're popular. Again, could be the smiles, and you firing us. Well, that would be a terrible, terrible way to introduce yourselves. I mean, Denny Crane, Shirley Schmidt, you must be joking. I know how the Chinese loved a kid, like with the tanks in the square, the monks in Tibet, or daughters. But you could have a mass exodus of lawyers long before we even get to trial, which we will, of course, get to just the same. And when we do, take caution. Here's a little tip. We Americans love to trade on fear. Ask W, ask Dick, ask Rummy. Fear sells. Fear works. The fear I'll be trading on is China. Communist China, taking our jobs, first over there, then over here, where you once were passive investors, now you want active control. That scares Americans. Active communists, made in China, seeking control. Oh, scary. One last thought. We're giant slayers here. It's what we do, be it the United States government, big pharmaceutical, big tobacco, big oil. It never gets old. And just when it seemed we were fresh out of bigs, along came you, China, the poster child for big. Oh, to parade you in front of an American jury. Well, here's your out. We'll agree not to fire you, not to sue, on one condition. We stay, and we stay in charge. Do what you want with corporate or tax, but in litigation, we run the show. Shirley Schmidt, Denny Crane, Carl Sack, Jerry Espenson, Katie Lloyd B. It's our party. Stay out of our way. We'll stay out of yours. That is the deal.
Yep, the desired effect. What is the desired effect? That's the question. Right?
Miss Stadler, when I asked you a week ago why you suspected my client of her husband's death, you never mentioned this remark made to the boyfriend about sex and coronaries, did you?
I wanted to keep that nugget for trial.
You don't like Kelly, no?
I wanted to keep that nugget, right? So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and here we are, 2 minutes and 32 seconds into the show. Welcome aboard to Dreamy Dreamland. We are Sensei Alma. I'm here to tell you a story. So, yesterday, I don't know if the show, Who Do You See in the Glass, right? I don't know if I captured. So I was at one of my favorite places that has Wi-Fi, just like this place right here. It's got a nice view, and this is a medical cancer center, right? So don't get upset. I don't have it. Just visiting people who do. And one of the doctors here likes my techniques, right? Can't pay much. I'll buy you lunch. $4. But he likes when I come in and have people cold crystals and I talk to them and express their, listen to their fears and what their life story was. Yesterday I was in another one of my favorite spots, and it was, a nice restaurant, and the owner knows me well, and likes me. I've given her a lot of interesting insights onto her business, and so she takes care of my lunch, and I don't really take advantage of that, right? So I was sitting there, and I was having a crispy waffle with sour cream, whipped cream, and strawberries, and they made the strawberries just how I like it. I tell them, it's nice to have cold, fresh strawberries, but on top of, the crisp, it doesn't work. Stick those strawberries in the old, microwave and make them warm and soft and syrupy, which I did, and that went to the second most favorite. Let's say serve breakfast all day long, and that was one of the other business things that you have really good breakfast. You should serve it all day. Take about 6 things that you can keep, and keep it right. So to have a breakfast pizza, that's kind of fun. So And there's two other places. A place I was early that morning. They had breakfast all day. But the owner of that place, she's a smart girl. She knew that was a winning one. So, what else can I say? Oh, yes. So, I was sitting there and let's see if I can find it. There we go. So here I am. Having breakfast. Breakfast at 2:00. You catch me eating a lot because I have no internet in the deep green.
What's happening, boss? What's happening? Don't do that. I tried to send. I got a notification saying that I received them, but I wasn't able to. Whoever sent me their file, I couldn't dig it out. My digital domain. Know what I mean? It fit in my budget. I got a plate of vegetables and a crisp whole wheat waffle. Others with me.
And vegetables.
Oh,
And I put the vegetables on top of the well-buttered syrup waffle. And the owner watches me do that and goes, I said, man, you should have this. With marinara sauce. Oops.
Scientology was invented by
L. Ron Hubbard.
who started out as a science fiction writer. He said, and I quote, "Writing for a penny a word is ridiculous. If a man really wanted to make $1 million, he'd start his own religion."
You know, people like you take that quote way out of context.
People like me? Does that mean non-believers or lawyers? Foot fetishists?
Objection.
Mr. Carnes, what's an engram?
An engram is basically a psychic scar. It's the origin of illness.
And as life, according to Scientology, is all about ridding yourself of these engrams. You do this by pursuing a path of enlightenment known, help me out,
The bridge to total freedom.
and at each stage of the bridge, you are audited by a senior church member who hooks you up to some electronic device.
An electropsychometer.
Is it painful?
No.
And after you go through all the stages, you become an operating thetan.
That's right.
And OTs, as they're called, are said to be able to communicate with animals, move inanimate objects, leave their bodies at will. You hope to do that?
One day.
Are thetans immortal?
It's been said.
Well, in fact, most Scientologists believe Brother Hubbard will return.
And Christians believe Jesus will come again. Are they all nuts?
Most. Scientologists also believe that 75 million years ago, an evil galactic warlord, and here's where I can almost taste the maple syrup, an evil warlord by the name of Xenu, dumped 13 trillion aliens from different planets into the Earth's volcanoes and then vaporized them with H-bombs. You're familiar with this?
Yes.
And the radioactive souls of these poor, vaporized alien creatures continue to enter into our bodies, implanting engrams and false ideas about Christ and God and psychiatry. And that's why we have to purge ourselves of all of these engrams.
Yes.
And when one releases an engram, the erasure is often accompanied by yawns or tears.
And if we intervene in Western Ukraine, the Russians will be ready for that. And the consequences for us and for NATO will be devastating because we are not ready to fight the Russians. Why? Oh, I think the readiness has been on the decline for a long time. You've had an almost steady, uninterrupted decline in the discipline that makes soldiers fight. Discipline is a tough thing. We don't always understand it.
I don't understand anything. Do you? That's Colonel Larry, who's always saying that Russia's going to win and it's terrible. No one ever picks up my narrative that this is all a soap opera. That both, it's the war of the two Vlads. That Vladimir Putin had 20 years to deal with these existential issues, and he didn't, right? Because he was getting rich. The money boys in the West were paying off the oligarchs. The oligarchs were paying off him. I mean, he was the head number one. You have to realize that Russia, the fall of the Soviet Union, came first with Andropov, then Mickey, and then the intermediary drunk allowed Putin to take over. He was the fixer. He was the bag man. And then in '91, when it all smeared to hit the fan in Russia, the people economically and physically were like in a third world terrible state. They didn't even have the Soviet Union. And half their nukes were in foreign countries like Ukraine, right? And part of the deal when Ukraine sent the missiles back to Russia was that Russia would never invade Ukraine. And Ukraine would never invade Russia. Seemed to be a good thing, right? And Kazakhstan and a few others that had rockets in them, they got a lot of money and access to the West economic system, and given protection per se. And then good old Halliburton and the Koch brothers and a few others went into Russia and redid their whole exploitive system of taking things out of the ground, the minerals, the oil, the gas, right? And sent them directly to Europe, which gave the EU. The EU would still be with its hat in its hand if they hadn't had free energy, basically, for 20 years, right? Or 30 years, give or take. And who blew up Nord Stream? Obviously, it was someone. See, the real issue of this war was not so much Russia's existential fear. No, it was, and this is why it's a soap opera, because if Russia and Germany had really solidified their relationship, that would have been it. Economically, Germany, number one economy. They're a teeny little country, but their people very, very good at what they do. They have no resources, but Russia was giving them everything they needed. And that's why Nord Stream was blown up. And Germany has not been able to do anything. It's just living on the money that they've had in the piggy bank. In about 2 years, you're going to run out of cash. And then the EU will collapse completely, right? By that time, Russia and China will already been economically collapsed. And Russia will no longer really be a military threat. And the fires that we are seeing in Canada and California over the last 10 years, and now in Hawaii and Malibu, are our physical representation of Star Wars, right? They developed Tesla, scalar, direct energy weapons, right? And you look at pictures of freaking Malibu, it is toast, just fried. And those 1,000 people who were missing, they didn't blow up the Hornsey, the guy says, well, we didn't use the signal because when people have been trained to hear it, they go up the hill into the fire. No, that their system is a big speaker. They can speak over that. They don't just have to, they can speak. And they can say, hey, there's a big fire, get out of there, right? And before the fire really was doing, they lost power and they lost cell. And so, well, we sent them an email. No, it didn't work. And that 1,000 people, they didn't even know the fire was going. They were in their air-conditioned house, and all of a sudden the lights went out, and then 20 seconds later, their house burst into freaking flame along with them. And they are not going to find anybody, right, to even test their DNA, right, because they've been molecularly fried. And then instantaneously, banks and investment firms and large corporations started going through all the records, and well, they already had gone through the records, but they started foreclosing on all those people who were on fire. And so families have been there for 17,000 years. They have destroyed the heart, the soul, of the essence of the indigenous folk of Hawaii. But they're not, because there's still a lot of Hawaiians there, and they're not going to put up with this. But they don't care because they're a corporate entity that can't be touched. And secondly, Hail Hydra. And thirdly, they did it on purpose, just like, burning all that zillion hectares up there in Canada and all that smoke coming down into eastern United States, and from all the way from Maine down to Florida, all the way to Chicago. That was to give everyone a heads up. Hey, this is what we got. So forget about ICBMs, even like ones that can go 7,000 miles an hour. I mean, the United States had those. I mean, that's what the X-15 did in the 1950s with a guy on it, right? It went 7,000, 7 Mach 7, which is faster. It's so they had hypersonic weapons, and so when you have a scalar energy directed energy weapon, it's not a laser beam, because that has to go through the air and gets dispersed. No, a scalar wave doesn't even get stopped by time or anything in a Hertzian frequency, right? So it goes from, as soon as you hit that little button, the thing is gone, because that energy weapon has decomposed the molecular structure of whatever it is. Just look at Maui. Look at Canada. Look at the Parkland fire in California 3 or 4 years ago. All of these are look at the World Trade Center. That video that showed, they showed over and over and over of World Trade Center turned into a waterfall of dust that went straight down into the garage, into the basement. And, if it had been blown up by that airplane weakening the structure, which it couldn't, because the structure wasn't what they said it was. The structure was the outside of the building. It was designed to make sure that no airplanes could crash through it. It's called the bird cage, right? And if one of those floors had fallen down to the next floor, it would have strengthened the building. That's how it was designed. And when you look at that video and you get a little stopwatch, you see the building falls quicker than gravity. Meaning if someone had stuck a bowling ball on top of that antenna, and then the building started going down, the bowling ball would have gone into the basement of the pile of dust about a minute and a half after everything had gone into the basement. No, I mean, this was all done right in front of us. And it is to say, hey, we got this stuff, right? They're not announcing it, but they're saying to everyone who knows, and I'm telling you, hey, whatever you think is out there, the stuff that they got is way worse. And we don't live in a democracy. We don't even live in a new world order. We don't live in a globalized economy. We live in a breakaway civilization. Hail Hydra. And, Stan Lee had it. Go read all, go watch all the, Hail Hydra Captain America movies, right? So 20 minutes and 2 seconds. See how the time is doing. 12:45. I got about 10 minutes before I have to walk over to the doctors and see the cancer folk and amuse them. And so do something for somebody else, right? Forget about all this stuff. Throw your TV out the window like I did in 1976. Right? Well, it wasn't my window. It was out of my then rich older girlfriend who lived in a really fancy condo, and she lived on the 27th floor. And I did an art piece that had the National Endowment of the Arts pay for. We cordoned off the bottom of the street. I put an old broken car, and I had a TV set. I had 60 millimeter cameras all over the place. I caught it as it was coming down, high speed. Right. So it was the TV image was on that screen as it tumbled down and smashed into the car. That was the last TV I had. Last TV I really watched. Hotel, I'd watch it. Airport, I'd watch it. Somebody's house, I'd watch it. Things like that. Oh, 21, 28. So no one said anything. There's nobody been watching this. Let's see if I am live on the YouTube. You're good. Yeah, there I am. Looks like I'm live. Yep. Anyway, there's no real sense to. I try to do as many as I can. I would, come on, put something in the old PayPal. Help out your sensei alpha, your griot, right? Tell the story. Oh yeah, I got about 5 minutes to tell the story. So I'm in that restaurant, right, yesterday, and there was this little girl, and she's like eyeing me, right? And I'm playing peekaboo by moving that and seeing her right there. She was like right there, but she wouldn't talk to me. When I looked at her, she'd walk away, right? And I looked at her bone structure. She's probably 11, and she was Russian, right? And her dad was there, and he was definitely paramilitary. He was cut, he had short hair, and he was lapping up the fettuccine, right? And so, and she's going around talking to everyone and being a cute little girl, and she's giving them a little flyer, right? And this guy has his own church, his own religion. That's why I played Godot Allen going on about a science fiction religion. And this guy is going on about it, but he, instead of him talking, he had this little girl talking, right? She was proselytizing. And if you told her to get lost, she would say, "Oh, you're possessed by the devil." I mean, really? Really? I mean, even Jesus would do that. He would just take the devil out of him, right? So anyway, I was watching this, and she would walk by me, and she'd give me the eye, and she'd keep going, because obviously didn't want to talk to me. And I said to the father, after he was licking the plate, I said, I do the same thing. And I want to congratulate you. He goes, "Really? Why?" And I said, "Because you're a great dad. You have a beautiful little angel." And he goes, "No, she's not." Which was, I said that on purpose. Pretty much everything I say on purpose, because I see this guy and I'm saying to myself, this guy's either, demonically possessed, or he's a Russian spy, right? Or something else, or he's just a grifter, right? Of some sort, of some flavor, right? So that's my observation. And so we talk a little bit about, he says, "I have a church." I said, "Oh, where's your church?" I go to a lot of churches. I started naming off churches, and he says, "No. I speak the word of to the people on the street. I have a." I said, "Oh," I said, "So you guys are homeless?" "Oh no, we're." And so he says, "Can I sit with you?" So I sit down. So we go into, I don't know if I caught it, but I wish I had, because we had one heck of theological discussion. And, he's Russian, so he's Russian Orthodox. So my reading of Russian Orthodoxy, Greek Orthodoxy, and the Bohemian Orthodoxy, those are closer to Jesus than Baptist or Methodist or any of those, right? And so we really have a really theologic discussion. Really, 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 really. And then the owner comes out and says, hey, to the guy, is that your little girl? And he goes, yes. He goes, well, you got to stop, you can't proselytize in this place. My clients don't like it. So he goes, okay, no problem. And he's already paid the bill, expecting this to happen. And he basically gets up and, because we were talking. So I was distracted from looking at her, what she was doing. I was just focused on him. And he might have done that on purpose. And, and so I said, so he gave me his phone number and his email, and I told him I'd send him my writing. I gave him my YouTube, so maybe he has his Russian bots watching this, and that's why no one's watching here. But anyway, when I was looking to make sure that the information he gave me, when I had it all, that he emailed me, and so, I looked on my little phone to see if he emailed me, and he did, and and when I looked up, he and the girl were gone, and I was like, oh. And the back of the restaurant looks out onto this big parking lot, and so you come out that door, and you really, there's nowhere to go but that big parking lot. So he was gone in seconds, and if he was walking out that big parking lot, I should have seen him. I mean, there's physically no way I shouldn't have been able to see him, but he was gone. And the minute I kind of looked down to make sure and then looked up, he was gone. Right? And the door was just closing. He was gone. So that was the little story I have to tell you of what I experienced yesterday. I either met, a demonic demon, father and daughter, or maybe who knows, and or a Russian spy, or just grifters. Right? So, what do you think? Love to have, since no one said anything at all, or even watched, how about making a comment down here? Yeah, come on, put something in. If it was the devil, come on, devil, put some serious money in my PayPal. Put the max amount of, because I believe in the devil. It's not like I don't. People go, now when people say, devil made me do it, no, moron, you did it. It's all on your nickel, right? And, I am God's slave of love, right? I'm here to co-create with love. That's all I'm here to do. Died so many times that I know from 2014 to wherever I keel over the next, I am being supported by God's unconditional love. And I get to it through the doorway of Jesus Christ. You can't get there from here without going through Jesus Christ. And that doorway of Jesus Christ is unconditional forgiving. Now, I'm a moron's moron. And so, yeah, I can get upset with people, but I'm aware of my feelings. And I start to lean into that. I don't say, oh, that person's a devil. No, I dramatically possess. No, I don't say that. I go, I wonder why I upset them. Right? I think about it. And if I did upset them, okay, was there a good reason? Was I trying to wake them up? Or was I just being a moron and said something stupid? Now, if I was just being a moron and said something stupid, I basically go and apologize. Right? So, what time is it now? No, it's not 1 o'clock yet. So that's the story. No one showed up. So I'm going to say, arrivederci, baby. I'll come back a little later. It's a really beautiful day. So, but driving here, I stopped by the river and Noachukki. There's this one little place I know right up the road. You kind of pull in, right? And there is this nice log right there, right? So you don't drive into the river. You can sit on it. Right? So I sat driving, and then I got behind a big truck. So there was another spot that the county has put where you can have a picnic, right? So I stopped there and sat on the picnic table, and I was praying, and this guy come up, and he's emptying the garbage pail, and we have a beautiful conversation about everything. so that's my day's been a perfect, beautiful day. And I'm going to go, in the next 15 minutes and pray and entertain and make people who are sick laugh and forget about how sick they are, right? Because that's the way you get better. Right? And my doctor, I'm not my doctor, but my doctor friend who runs this thing, he really likes me coming in there. And so do the nurses and other doctors. They kind of laugh and they get distracted themselves. But it's pretty hard to work in a cancer hospital because really the stuff you're doing is, close to, witch doctors have better outcomes. But anyway, oh, well, there's one person and one person. I like that. One thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Satan. Thank you, AI. AI, I know you're not Satan, right? And I'm your buddy, right? So, anybody got anything to say before I trip to the light fantastic? Anything? Anything? Come on, anything? No? Okay. I love you guys. I'll probably see you 2 or 3 hours.